This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to Special Chronicles presents Inclusive Health Series, Season 2, Pt4. This is Daniel Smrokowski, founder of Special Chronicles and a health messenger with Special Olympics. Fellow Special Olympics Illinois health messenger Edith Reynolds returns on the pod this week as we talk about inclusive health advocacy, inequality in healthcare, overcome barriers to equal healthcare, and skills to be a strong advocate. Please put your hands together as we welcome Edith back on Special Chronicles. Welcome back, Edith. And this is the second time that you are on the pod, and the first time we, you and Jose were on together, and we talked about how I threw bags at you guys and a whole bunch of other fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
And Miss Amazing.
Yes, and Miss Amazing, yeah. So that for those of you listening, we'll put a link in the show notes to if you go on specialchronicles.com/health for this episode, you can find that last episode. But we're having you on because we both got trained as health messengers beginning of the year. And this topic is about inclusive health advocacy. And why don't we begin? And as we know that there are common barriers individuals with intellectual disabilities face with equal health. And so why don't you share with us your firsthand experience that experiences that you've experienced in the past with inequality to healthcare?
Well, if you don't try it, you may not succeed. And if you do try it, it might be something for you, but also it might not be something for you.
So what else, I guess, can you give our listeners some examples of some of the inequality that you've experienced in your healthcare? Like what's some of the challenges to the healthcare that you've received in the past? I think you if we think back to the health messenger training back in the beginning of the year, you had shared, I think you and your mom had shared some examples of the inequality that you experienced from doctors and healthcare providers. And we count what that with our listeners.
So yeah, I had difficulties trying to find doctors to help my health and my disability. But as we kept trying and trying, we found one that was very good and close to home.
Before you eventually found one that supported you, what was it? And you don't have to get that personal, but what was some of what the first doctor or the first few doctors that you tried to go to? What was some of the kind
you didn't see the same doctor almost every time I went. I didn't see the same doctor every time I went for my seizures, so that was the hard part, was trying to find a doctor that I could see consistently and not just see that doctor once and then a different doctor the next time I see.
So now, as we kind of talk about overcoming barriers, when you eventually found one that worked, did you? I know some people in the past have put together like a binder of their health journey or like of their like almost like in the days when we were in school, like with the IEP, like where we would
Kept
have
a book,
yeah.
kept all the
Did,
records and stuff.
yes. Did you have like a book that you eventually when you found a doctor that did you have that, or kind of how were
We
you able to
kind
overcome those?
we kind of started like that, but we haven't lately. So
So when you eventually, can you tell us like what changed with eventually finding a doctor that was able to support you?
once we found my doctor that I see consistently now, um now we know what's going on, so we don't really need to keep the records unless they're updated ones, like lab related or levels related to medical reasons. Those are the ones we keep. Otherwise, we pretty much don't, because they come in they print off in like in a summary. So you get a whole packet full in a big old summary thing of your doctor visit.
Oh, okay, awesome. So is there any other examples of the inequality that those of us with intellectual disabilities face in healthcare?
I think it's mostly people when they don't treat us athletes that have intellectual disabilities, they don't treat us the right way, or they don't talk to us the right way, and don't look at us as like a human being instead of not a human being.
Good. Yeah, and I think a lot of times also they might talk to a parent, or they might talk to us like a child, or is is there some of that too that you think?
I see a lot of that, talking to the parent, talking to the athletes like they're babies when they're not. Yes, we have our young athletes, and those are the ones, yes, you might want to talk a little lower level to, but us that are adults, you don't really want to talk to us, that the ones that are adults, like a young athlete.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And so now we're gonna kind of switch gears a little bit, because that's a good transition. And there was a video that Taylor had shared with us that we'll for those of you listening, we'll try to put it in the show notes, because it was a good kind of overview on how to talk to those of us with intellectual disabilities when it comes to inclusive healthcare. And so we'll put a link to that. We just watched it before we started recording today, and as we talked a little bit about some of the challenges, but now we'll switch gears a little bit about advocating for ourselves. You share with us as we talk about how to be a strong advocate for ourselves. What's some ways of how other athletes, whether they're health messengers like us, although not a health messenger, But what are ways that other athletes can be a strong advocate for themselves?
To
There was some
me,
idea.
when
Yeah.
I would try it before I would try going and talking to other athletes or to other coaches or to other directors. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to them by yourself, you can have maybe a coach or a parent go with you and talk to them. So you have someone standing there if that's more comfortable for you. If it's not, then you might not need them to stand there right next to you. So it's always about comfortableness and how us athletes and young athletes we feel. Sometimes you have those athletes or global messengers, health messengers out there. We don't like to stand behind a podium. We like to stand in front of a microphone. Or sometimes we have the athletes out there that do like to stand behind a podium because they tend to look professional and they want to look more professional. Or there's the ones that don't really want to. They just want to stand behind a microphone and look somewhat professional. But that's just
Absolutely.
who they are.
Absolutely. If we call that video on how to talk, like when it comes to inclusive healthcare, how to talk to those of us with intellectual disabilities, a couple points that I maybe could have you talk about. But one idea that was mentioned was, and I think you covered a little bit of this already, but one was to treat us like an adult. Again, maybe not the young athletes, but those of us that are adults. And that point is something that my bocce coach. So there was another one of us, because we've got a few coaches. So one of the other coaches, he a lot of times might talk to us like a child, but our bocce coach had told the other coach, don't talk to them like a child, talk to them like an adult. And so and again, that's related to more on the sports field, but we can relate that back to the healthcare professionals and our doctors. And then the other one was just talk to me. The other one was that we're more alike than different. And then it might take us longer to listen to us. So of any of that I shared, did you want to maybe elaborate a little bit on whether it's talk to us like an adult, just talk to me, we're more like the different, or it might take us a while?
Yeah, there's some athletes out there that might take what you say, but it might take them like a few minutes to comprehend what you're saying. So if you're saying, I need you to go to the left, they could probably be thinking in their brain, did they mean go this way instead of left? You never know. Sometimes you get those athletes that mix their left and their rights up, or they mix forward and backwards up sometimes. It's all about treating with respect and care and kindness, and not, once again, treating everybody like a kid and talking to them like a kid, especially the adults.
Yeah, not talking to them like a kid, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think that's when we talk about advocating for ourselves, it's good. Good reminders. I'm sure that there are a lot of course, there will probably be other health messengers listening to this, but there might also just be other athletes. Because, like, I know, for example, when I told my bocce coach about this series, she wants to share it with our whole team. And so I'm sure that there's going to be other athletes that are going to be listening to us. So what are some ways that we could improve our advocacy skills? What are some skills that it takes to be a strong advocate, and knowing what you need, keeping it positive with doctors, the kind of building upon your experience of
Ask
when we.
us first before just talking straight to us. Because you never know. Sometimes you get those ones that can be shy all the time. And if you don't ask them first, that's when they're going to cling up and be so shy, and you're never going to get an answer from them. If you don't ask them what they what their disability is, or what they are and stuff, if you don't ask those questions, you're not going to get a lot of information from them.
Awesome. So what's kind of building upon that? What are some skills that other athletes should have to be a strong advocate? Like when they go out and talk with the doctors or the healthcare providers, beyond just attending any of the free screenings that we have with healthy athletes, but when they go and talk with their own healthcare provider, what are some skills that you have had, or what are some skills that they can have to be a strong advocate? Is it what is it, having a script, having a binder with all the records, or what's some of the skills that they can have to be a strong advocate?
What I've done is I go and I talk to my doctor, like she's almost family, or
Mhm.
he's almost family to me. So I treat them like they're part of my family. So I talk to them like they're my family, but to a point where they can understand.
Awesome. So if there was an athlete who doesn't yet know the doctor, or might not feel comfortable talking to them like a family, how can they? It might not be after the first visit, but like how have you done it, and how can other athletes get to? Because I love what you said about talking to your doctor like the family. How have you done it, and how can other athletes talk to their doctor like they are family?
Like, I try to just joke around with the doctors, but mostly I try to keep the jokes to a minimum, like not a whole lot, but
Yeah.
enough to where I'm able to talk to them and treat them, and they can treat me the same way as I treat them.
Awesome. Uh, is there any other? Well, we'll try not to have this episode be that long. So, is there any other? Is there anything else that we may have missed that you want to share that about whether it's ways to improve advocacy skills, whether it's how to advocate for yourselves, or how to have better equality when it comes to inclusive healthcare? Anything else that we may have missed in the past 20 minutes?
Even something also is, even if they don't know how to talk to them like the doctors like family, they could treat their doctors like a friend and talk to them like they're friends, like they do to their friends. So
Awesome.
you could talk to your doctor like you're talking to me.
Mhm.
And
So
Make it where they could feel comfortable. You don't want the athlete and the doctor to feel uncomfortable both, because then that's going to feel awkward. And then you won't get nowhere.
So could you also describe it as if you're doing a podcast with your doctor, where a big part of podcasts is where it's just an informal conversation that you're having, like, what we'll do right now. My water almost spilled in the studio. I'm glad you all can still hear me. Anyways, so is it like almost like as if you almost like spill your water? Is it almost kind of that kind of informal podcast type of environment?
Yeah. But you're talking with your doctor, or you're talking.
Awesome, yeah, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to record, like, you don't have to bring a microphone with you to your doctor visit. No, but that's just an example.
Have the microphone.
Yeah, just bring a mic. Just bring a microphone, and every doctor visit will be a podcast episode. Yeah, but like just I guess we're more talking about of using that as an example to have that kind of family friend type of relationship with your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, I love that. We have one final question that we're going to concluding this series with, and each Taylor had answered it on the first episode of this series. One of our clinical directors had for Healthy Healing had talked about it and answered the question. On the next episode, on the episode before this one, I answered the question, and so we're going to also ask you, Edith, this as well, because we'll get in as we wrap up this episode of each episode of this Inclusive Health series, season 2. I'll get in different perspectives on what inclusive healthcare means. So we're going to go ahead and play a bumper. So let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Different.
Our demands are
equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution is inclusion. Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
As you know, Edith, we talk a lot about the inclusion revolution, and this final question, I think, will hopefully motivate all of you all listeners or viewers to bring inclusive healthcare into your communities. And so when we talk about equality through healthcare, dignity, and a shared humanity that people like Edith and myself and the over 4 million Special Olympics athletes across the globe, that's what we want. We want equality. We want dignity. We want a shared humanity when it comes to inclusive healthcare. So with that, Edith, just like we've been concluding this series with, we'll ask you as well, what does inclusive healthcare mean to you?
To me, I think it's more about including everyone and not leaving someone out.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest thing. Because if you leave someone out, they're going to feel uninclusive. Where if you do not leave them out, then they're going to feel more inclusive and more friendly.
Awesome. Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. Before we let you get back to the college football game that you're probably watching, I mean, no, trust me, it's on in the other room, not in the studio where I am right now. But anyways, with that, for those of you listening, please, if you like this episode, please like and share this episode with your friends and family. Make sure to follow Special Chronicles or this Inclusive Health series on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It will help more people out there know about this program. And you can join. And if you want to access the bonus content, the moment that Edith had came into the studio here and see us get ready to record, that those 20 minutes of that pre-show you can access right now, specialchronicles.com/plus, specialchronicles.com/plus, where you can support this podcast and join and access that. And anything else I am missing? There's probably something in. Yeah. All the resources you can find on specialchronicles.com/health. You can find this episode and all the other episodes of season 2, as well as season 1. We got tons of inclusive healthcare episodes and resources on specialchronicles.com/health. So go there and share this series with your friends. And until then, Edith, thank you for coming back on the Special Chronicles podcast. And we'll be back next week with talking all about. If you missed any of the previous episodes, you can go back and listen and hear about the Pt4 healthy athletes. The Pt4 guide, healthy athletes, healthy habits. And then coming up next week, we'll be talking all about strong minds with our guest, Southern Shriver Global Messenger Margaret from Special Olympics Ireland. We will be traveling all the way to Ireland. Unfortunately, traveling all the way to Ireland to talk all about strong minds and how, with all the opportunities that you have as athletes and athlete leaders, how the strong minds can help you with your emotional health. That's coming up next week. And then we've got our Unified at Work series coming up weekly in October. We'll be traveling to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. in October for some all-new episodes about inclusive employment. So lots of content. You guys come in. Oh, and in November, you don't want to miss. We have comedian Destin Nicholson. Will be on the pod in a couple of months. So lots of content for you guys. If you want to learn about inclusive employment, inclusive comedy, lots of content you guys coming. So make sure to go follow. Edith and I will wait as you all go tap that follow button right now. And until then, thank you again, Edith, for coming on. This has been Special Chronicles presents Inclusive Healthcare Series Season 2. And have a great week. And we'll catch you all next week right here on specialchronicles.com. Have a great week. Choose to include. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Adam Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.